Welcome to everybody today. We're so glad that you're with us. I'm John Gray. Sait Tarhan is our co-host here, and we are the ones who work with the Legal Society, the Law Society, actually, as we call it. And so please reach out and be glad to have you as a member. We don't have formal meetings on a regular basis because we're in all different time zones around the country. We're honored to have with us today Judge Anne Phillips, who has been a judge, and before that, she was a practicing attorney, and before that, she was a paralegal. So she's kind of seen the whole spectrum of a wide variety of matters in the legal system, and she's in the state of Arizona, by the way. And so we're so glad to have Judge Phillips with us, and we'll ask her to comment today on her role as a judge, maybe tell us how she became a judge and what she experienced there and the opportunities that she had to work with legal assistants, paralegals, other people in the system of criminal justice and or legal studies. So thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks, John. Did you want me to just start or did you want to ask me a question?
Go right ahead and just, as John was saying, maybe talk a bit about how you assumed the bench and what your experiences were, and how you were able to utilize paralegals and legal assistants, in the tenure of your time as a judge.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for asking. I have been a licensed member of the Arizona Bar for 36 years. And for 32 of those years, I practiced law. And then I went on the bench. After, again, 32 years of practice, I really didn't have a huge interest in becoming a judge. I really liked what I was doing. I was a public defender for 20 years. Prior to that, I had my own practice for 10 years, and I was very happy, but I was a little bored. I wasn't quite ready to retire, so I wanted a new challenge later in life, I guess you would say. And so I was very lucky to be appointed to the Maricopa County Superior Court, which is in Phoenix. Maricopa County is one of the largest counties in the United States. And I was the probation violation court for about 3.5 years. So I handled 50 to 100 cases a day, every single day, 5 days a week on the probation violation calendar, which is people who have been already convicted of felonies, they've been placed on probation, and now they have violated their probation. They come before me, and I had to decide whether they should be placed back on probation or sent to prison. And I did that all day, every day, 5 days a week for a few years. I'm now retired, gratefully working full time, not full time, but working a couple classes and teaching a few classes for Purdue. So I worked with a lot of legal assistants. In our courthouse, our court system, we're huge. And we have, our county is huge and it employs many, many people. So for example, just in a typical courtroom in our court, we have a courtroom assistant. In the olden days, we used to call it a bailiff. But the courtroom assistant has a tremendous amount of responsibility. Many of them have bachelor's degrees, but it is certainly not a requirement of the job. It's a good thing to have your bachelor's degree if you're applying to be a courtroom assistant. If you love being in the courtroom, if you love being busy, busy, busy all day long, very intense, multitasking, courtroom assistant is a fantastic job in our county because the courtroom assistant has to sit at the computer all through all court proceedings, rescheduling, setting new dates, dealing with lawyers, dealing with defendants if you're in a criminal courtroom, and multitasking to keep the court running very, very smoothly. In our court, many of the courtroom assistants were entry-level people. So we had many people who were hired right out of college. And so it was a great opportunity for someone who wanted to be in the courtroom. But also, we had a lot of what I call back of house courtroom assistant or clerk assistant jobs in the back of the house or back in chambers, back in the offices. So for people who don't want to be in the courtroom, there's plenty of court related jobs. And a lot of them, again, are entry level. There is a great amount of room for promotion and to move up in the system if you want to. There are lots of administrative uh, positions. In fact, one of our administrators, who is currently the criminal administrator for the whole court system, which is hundreds of courts, several thousand employees. She started as a courtroom assistant 20 years ago. She's now the criminal administrator and one of the top administrators in our county court system. So there's lots of room for movement upward in a court situation if it's something that interests you. The pay isn't fabulous because it is a government job, but it is probably as secure a job as you will ever have working for the government. And the benefits are fantastic: health insurance, life insurance, retirement, etc. So when you're looking for a job, particularly at a government agency, look at the benefits and not just that hourly salary. It provides a great deal of experience. And, I think it's fun working in a courtroom. I've been in a courtroom every day most of my life, and I think it's the way to go. But you don't have to. You can work at a courthouse and you can be behind the scenes and get just as much experience.
You answered my follow-up question, which was what are the opportunities for advancement or promotion or to move around within the system, and also the salary and benefits. So that's a comprehensive answer. I just wondered,
Yes.
John, do you have any follow-up questions before we wrap up?
Well, I think that's great information to share. And my wife worked for the state where I live, and I, of course, have done other things, mainly this now, so teaching. And so it was a real good combination because she had great benefits and I had more other advantages. So it sounds like a really good way. And your county is so large, I guess you have so many employees that there's a lot of lateral movement among positions and all. So, how did you become a judge? I think you said you were appointed. Was it just for a term of years? And then how does that work exactly in your state?
In our state, in the two largest counties, which is where Phoenix and Tucson are located, Maricopa County and Pima County, judges are appointed. We also have commissioners. So technically, I was a commissioner. Judges are appointed by the governor. Commissioners are appointed by the presiding judge. So commissioners act as judges pro tem. So we can do everything that judges do. It's just the hiring and firing process, if you will. Judges are appointed in the larger counties. They run for election in the smaller counties, and they are up for retention every 4 years on the ballot. Commissioners serve at the pleasure of the presiding judge. So the presiding judge appoints us, and the presiding judge can fire us for no reason whatsoever. And so that was the appointment process. Typically, commissioners are people who have lots of years of experience and apply and have, good reputation in the community, and as opposed to a judge, which tends to be more of a political appointment. So that's how I was appointed. I filed an application and went through the process. It's several interviews and several month process. And then I received an appointment, and then the presiding judge assigned me to the probation bench. I didn't get a choice as to which bench I served on.
Well, that's great. And every state has a different court system. I know in Tennessee, which is not too far from where I live, a lot of their judges run on a retention election kind of thing. And you mentioned that, and that's like a yes no vote. You get a yes vote and you stay on, and a no and you don't. So, and other places, like in the state where I live, Alabama, the judges all run against a flesh and blood person. They don't run against some retention type system. So that's always interesting too. So I think it's good to know what your own state does. Great. Site?
We'd like to thank you, Infinity, for giving such some of your time today and giving us some wonderful information that I think can be very helpful for students that are considering careers, perhaps in the judicial branch in some regard. So thank you again, Judge Phillips, and we'd like to remind everybody that's maybe listening to this to check out our Law Society. We've got lots of opportunities for connections and networking and other benefits, and also some of these videos to help students maybe give them some guidance in their career choices. So thank you again to Ann Phillips, and thank you, John, and we'll see you all in the Law Society.
Thanks, everybody.